Remakes, remasters and HD versions are now commonplace in the video game industry. What was once something that fans of franchises paid for years to happen seems to now include any and all old titles, just looking to make a quick buck off nostalgia. Some of these games like Resident Evil 2 Remake, Link's Awakening and Final Fantasy VII Remake have given these classics a new graphical fidelity, but also made the gameplay fresh again. Others like Turtle in Time Reshelled, the Silent Hill HD Collection and Night Trap just prove that as long as the IP holder think they can make some money off it, they'll put as little effort into it as possible. My argument's always been, just because you can remake it doesn't mean you have to. At the same time, if something does get a remake or a remaster, it doesn't mean that the original disappears from existence. Basically what I'm trying to say is, if a beloved game does get a shiny new coat of paint and it turns out to be good, happy days, and if it turns out to be crap, you can just go back to the original and play that instead. Saying that though, I'm as bad as everyone else, and there's loads of games that I would love to have remade with current technology. There is literally a never-ending list when I start looking back over all the games I've played. But here's my top 5 games that I would choose and buy instantly if they got the right attention. 3 words. Jumping, robot, rabbit. Need I say more? If by any chance you don't know what I'm talking about nor recognise this lovely footage, then let me introduce you and remind you of Jumping Flash. Released for the original PlayStation as a launch game here in the UK, it was met with positive reviews and spawned 2 sequels, though the last stayed in Japan. You pilot Robert as you jump and shoot your way through impressively large 3D levels collecting power-ups, coins and jet pods to exit the level. It's a relatively short and easy game, but it has a charming and colourful presentation, and with simple controls and gameplay that makes for an overall enjoyable experience. So take that base game, make everything updated, add in the sequel to improve the length, and job done. Honestly, I don't think there would be much to make it work these days. Maybe adding to Robert's manoeuvrability and arsenal, while also giving you the ability of a free camera so you can look around better. If you're making the levels bigger, then why not throw in co-op so you can have 2 people help out and try and find jet pods, or better yet, add in a competitive jet pod hunt. Even a level editor so you can make your own ones. Out of all the games on this list, this is the main one I believe would be given a new lease of life if it was just updated with the capabilities of current hardware. Keeping with older platformers is another game I rarely hear people bring up. Mischief Makers is a 2.5D hidden gem released by Treasure on the N64. Combining elements from other previous classics like Dynamite Headdy and Gunstar Heroes, Treasure's first foray onto a Nintendo console is another short but entertaining romp. In a Ristar-esque way, and no, that game isn't on the list for reasons, you as a robotic maid named Maria grab and catch your way across multiple luscious and surreal environments, all with the aim of rescuing your creator. Simple stuff, but sometimes that's all you need to have a good time playing a game for hours. I really enjoyed this game when I first picked it up, and like most Treasure games, it never received a sequel, so we never really got to build on the characters and the environments. If this was just to be given a visual upgrade such as high resolution sprites and backgrounds, that'd be absolutely fine. This is one that I don't really think needs much done to it other than that. Sure, they could add in things like more levels, maybe even a time attack mode, or even 2-player, but honestly, just give me it in HD, a Switch Pro controller, and I'd settle for that. The next 2 games need no introduction. First is Dino Crisis, a dinosaur-filled survival horror game from the folks at Capcom. Many people think this is just Resident Evil, but instead of zombies and hunters you have velociraptors and a T-Rex stalking you, and to be fair that's not too far from the truth. It does though contain more puzzles, and the survival aspect is a much greater focus. Most Resident Evil enemies aren't even a threat, save for dogs and hunters, but anytime there's a dinosaur in the room you better have a plan of action. This improvement, along with fully 3D environments, really did help pave the way for future titles that Capcom would develop. Not really needs to be done to this to bring it to current platforms, albeit, the whole remodelling the game, all of the characters, the environments, and all the work that goes into that. Get the RE engine slapped onto it, improve all the models again, and you're basically finished. The only choice I'd have a hard time deciding on would be the camera. Sticking with the original fixed camera angles, or moving on to the Resident Evil 2 and 3 third-person action camera is a tough choice. Even using RE7's first-person camera would increase the tension and atmosphere, so I don't really know which one I prefer to be honest. Either way, I'd just be happy if we ever heard anything to do with this game again. Just not Dino Crisis 3 Remake. The other game that deserves to be updated is Parasite Eve, a game that I've often heard as a forgotten classic. I wouldn't exactly agree with that statement, what with how popular it is, and it did spawn 2 sequels, but considering the last game that had anything to do with the series came out 10 years ago, there is a little bit of truth to it. A mix of horror, RPG and turn-based combat, along with gruesome cutscenes and a story that can get a little too complex and bogged down in places makes for a wonderful game. Battles use the ATB bar, much like some Final Fantasy games, but they also give you free movement around the battlefield like later Star Ocean titles or the Tales series. It's a great mix that I have incredibly fond memories of, and so I'll cover it along with the sequels in greater detail soon. Again, much like Dino Crisis, not much really needs to be done to this. Use the Luminous engine from Final Fantasy XV or the Unreal engine that was used for Final Fantasy VII Remake, remodel everything and you can take my money. Though I do think there's some balancing that could be done if you were to adopt the Final Fantasy VII Remake battle style. Allowing you to attack with melee weapons or a gun while your ATB bar fills so you can fire off PE attacks and abilities would just add to the flow of the battles, instead of you just running around waiting to actually have a chance to attack. It would definitely improve the combat in the earlier stages where you're basically just run, shoot, wait, shoot, run, heal, shoot, run, wait, probably in that order, but it does suffer from it. But again, I would settle for a visual enhancement if it just meant we got the chance to play this again. Finally, let me speak of a true game that was limited in scope by the hardware it was on. Burning Rangers is by far my favourite game on the Saturn, placing it above other superb titles like Panzer Dragoon Saga and Shining Force 3. A 3D action game that pits you as a member of the Burning Rangers, tasked with putting out fires, rescuing civilians and fighting against giant bosses. The Saturn, for as much as I love it, was really pushed to its limits with this game. It's another short but sweet experience on face value, but after completion, the randomly generated levels and civilians to rescue meant there was always a reason to dive back into a level. And with some of the best graphics and gameplay on the system, it stands as a great example of what the Saturn can do if it was used correctly. Anything. Literally anything, just do anything with it, I don't really care. Bring it out on Steam, put it on my PS4, put it on the Switch, put it on the 3DS, I don't really care. There's so much that could be added to it though, not just from a graphical point of view, but from the fundamental gameplay as well. The movement's already fine, but adjust it for current controllers and give me a free camera. Then we're sorted. You could take elements from games like Metro Prime where you could use a scanner to try and find hotspots of fires and also hidden civilians to rescue. Add in local and online co-op so multiple people can play the stage together, going across different routes and helping different survivors. Customizable loadouts so you can use better fire extinguishers or jetpack boosters. The list I have of improvements and things I'd love to see added into the game is a whole video by itself. But if there was one game on this list that I would love to see brought back, it would be this. I really do think with current capabilities they could do an outstanding job with it. Just don't touch the soundtrack, that jam is perfect. So that's my top 5 games I'd love to have a remake remaster treatment applied to them. But in all honesty, the list is much greater than this. Honourable mentions would go to games like Soul Reaver, Cooler World, Dragon Force, Airblade, Chasey Express and a whole bunch more. What games would you like to see though brought up to date? Drop a comment below with your choices. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification bell to keep updated with any new videos I put out. Any help really does support the channel. But I'd love to hear your suggestions of what you would love to see remade. Anyway, I've been Tom from VictorBros Gaming, thanks for watching and have a great gaming day.